Across the country, a lot of very special people, concerned, committed people, are working to change their lives and those of their neighbors. They're working through community-directed organizations in programs that are helping people to help themselves. More than 400 of these locally run projects in urban and rural areas are making use of an added resource in their battle against poverty and its effects. VISTA volunteers, some 4,000 in all. This film is about these sponsoring organizations, the communities they serve, and the volunteers who assist them, the roles, relationships, and responsibilities of each of these vital elements in the VISTA equation. We'll be looking closely at VISTA-assisted projects in 3 communities. Each in its own way, it demonstrates key aspects of the VISTA process, basic principles and roles that remain constant, whether the volunteers are at work in the mean streets of Chicago's South Side or the rolling hills of Appalachia.
I think one of the things that you need to be constantly aware of is that I need to be constantly aware of, that you folks live in these communities, and there are a lot of things, a lot of activities that you've been involved in that you need to stay involved with. My concern...
A training session for volunteers. The purpose is to clarify the roles that each must play in advancing the objectives of the sponsoring agency.
What we're going to do is some role play this time. We've talked just a little bit about roles. Okay, well, now we're going to play with some roles. And we're going to set it up as approximating the real situation as closely as we can.
My name is Susan Tankersley, and I'm now of VISTA in Catoosa County. Are you familiar with the kindergarten that's being run in the American Legion Hall right now?
No, but you explain it, please.
A year ago, the Nationals came into the county and they talked to the people, and they found that a free kindergarten was needed. And so they organized mothers, and they got local help in equipping it, and the American Legion let them use their hall for free. And so they have a kindergarten, a free kindergarten in the American Legion Hall. We have a need for another kindergarten because we have a long waiting list. So what I need is some help from you, some cooperation from you in setting up this new kindergarten. We need a building, first of all. And I wondered if you had any suggestions of who I could go to.
Well, you could go see the commissioner.
Oh.
Go see the commissioner.
Mr. Moreland?
Mr. Moreland or his assistant.
Mr. Clemmons.
Mr. Clemmons.
One of the things that we're trying to do in this training session is bring some folks together from a widely scattered geographic area and give them some sense that they are members of a specifically designed program, and that program has something to do with child development, has something to do with community development. So defining some of those terms and getting these folks in touch with themselves personally and with their personal goals as VISTAs, as members of this sponsoring agency, and as a group.
We talk to them, try to get them to fill them out.
Volunteers come into VISTA in 2 ways. Nationals are recruited by Action for their specialized skills and are assigned to programs where these skills match those needed by the sponsoring agency. Locally recruited VISTAs, or LRVs, come from the community they serve. They're recruited by the sponsor and bring to their VISTA service a heightened awareness of the problems, needs, customs, and resources of their own neighborhoods and towns. The exchange of ideas and information is one of the crucial aspects of these training sessions.
So the sponsoring agency had a tremendous responsibility to give the type of training necessary that would make the VISTAs not only good community workers but effective ones as well. So while Action did a tremendous amount of training for the community workers, we tailored that training program to equip them with the type of skill that they would need to work in the community. But at the same time, I think a sponsoring organization has a responsibility to give community people the type of skills that they give VISTAs so they can work in their own communities at their own paces and work for their own needs.
Ringgold, Georgia. A preschool program organized in Catoosa County by local mothers with the help of VISTA volunteers. The program and the VISTAs are sponsored by the Georgia Appalachian Child Care Project, a state agency mandated to develop community-directed learning activities for preschool children. They're badly needed in Georgia's economically depressed Appalachian tier. National volunteer Susan Tankersley.
We were told to come to the county, meet as many people as possible, and we did that for about the first 2 months. 2 months. We met the people at the grocery store, and we met the man at the post office, and we wanted to do what the community wanted to do. And so actually for the first 2 months we just listened and asked questions. And then when we kept hearing that there was a need for a kindergarten, that the only kindergarten in town is expensive, we decided to set up a little group. We started with 8 children.
Before VISTAs come into a community, the sponsor has defined specific objectives to be accomplished by the volunteers during their term of service. Since VISTAs are assigned to projects for designated periods of time, their primary goal must be to work themselves out of their jobs. They must transfer their skills to community people so that after the volunteers depart, the programs will continue and grow. National volunteer Caroline Kovat.
I would say right now we are turning it over to the mothers, and we are here to help and to give some advice of whatever we know about it. So that's practice for them before we leave.
It's a gradual phasing out kind of thing. Now we aren't teachers in the sense we were when we first came here. We did all the teaching. Now we try to sit back as much as possible.
Come on, tell me what color this is again. Come on.
One of the roles of a sponsor is to identify community people who can put their insights and experience to work as locally recruited VISTAs. National VISTAs often assist the sponsor in this task. Mitzi Land is the sponsor's locally recruited VISTA in Ringgold. As one of the founding members of the Mothers Organization, she's been closely involved with the preschool program since it began. Now with the national volunteers about to leave, Mitzi's ready to pick up where they left off.
I worked last year with Susie and Caroline, and I learned an awful lot from them. I give them all their credit for what I learned. I have goals of setting up a daycare in Ringo. There's one going, but I am going to set one up. And I know I'll have one going. That's my terms of thinking. And the children of Ringo, there is a lot of them that need love and affection that don't get it at home. And as far as the mothers, now I have went and contacted several other families, and the mothers said they would help. The director had told me, recreational director, he said that this is what they need in Ringo. He said a lot of the people want to do something, but they just need that little push or a little shove up. So I got everything rolling in Ringo. They have no place to play. There's no playgrounds or anything really for the children to get out and mingle with other ones. And when they get into first grade, well, that's it.
If the National Vistas had not been here, I don't believe we would have ever gotten off of a stepping stone, you might say. It is just one of those things that we just needed the extra little push to get started. Now, we had some children to come to us that had never been sit down and told a story or anything. They didn't even hardly know their full name. They just knew what they were called at home. Of course, we see a lot coming from those children, and that's another thing that it really touches me to know that I had a part in it. Now it's time to go to class, children. I want Lily, Mary, Tammy, Brian, and Haley all to go to the green table. Go on over there.
Sponsors may assign VISTAs to tasks involving the effective mobilization of a community's existing resources. This can mean securing donated goods or services from local businesses and individuals, or getting churches, civic groups, and labor unions to work with the sponsor in furthering its objectives. Often it means meeting and negotiating with civil servants and elected officials, whose cooperation may be crucial to a project's success. Sponsor-developed training techniques can help prepare volunteers to carry out this role.
Did you have an appointment with the commissioner?
Yes, we did.
What time was your appointment scheduled for?
It was 11:30. I believe we're a little bit early.
Okay. Well, would you please wait a minute, and I will see if he's busy.
Thank you.
County Commissioner?
What did you want to see me about?
I first wanted to introduce ourselves to you. This is Richard Haynes, who's local VISTA, lives out in the Kensington area. I live out in Cedar Grove. Been living in Walker County for some 5 years now, and we've been recruited as local VISTAs by Appalachian Child Care Project, which if you're not familiar with, I can give you some information about.
Well, I'd like to ask you on this Appalachian Child Care. I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know all that much about it. Could you tell me what it is about and what they do?
Well, the Appalachian Child Care Project is run by the State Department of Human Resources based in Atlanta, and they run various programs. One of those programs is the VISTA project that we're working for.
And one of the things that we're interested in doing is maintaining contact with your office, because we know that it is on your level that decisions for community are made that have to do with revenues that come in from state and federal agencies. And because we're working with community people, we would like to be able to open up the communication from this office to those levels so that they can make informed decisions about what they'd like to do in the way of child care.
When folks come in from out of town and say, look, we want to talk to you about so-and-so, we're always a little bit cautious about that thing, because we have a lot of this that takes place. And we try to be as careful as possible and go into these things as slowly as possible until we get some good firm footing with who we're working with. But these people have been real good. When we've asked for information from them or asked what they were doing and so forth, they've been real good to let us know what they were doing and how things were going. So we're real impressed with their operation. I've visited the daycare center in operation and was impressed with it, and I wouldn't hesitate at all to send my child. Not at all.
Do you all understand, the role of those people in the county government? I think that's something sooner or later we'll have to get into. Why it's important to go see the county commissioner.
That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Right. In every county that the county commissioner is aware of you being there. You can believe that. You wouldn't be there without the county commissioner knowing about it. That's because we make darn sure that we touch base with the folks in each of the counties that you're working in who make the decisions, the key decisions. So that's why you really, really have to spend some time with these people, keeping them informed, even if you don't get any direct monetary or in-kind support from them. And I think one of the things that you were saying was I think it was you, Glenda, is that the role as a resource person is really, really critical, and one of the real important functions, I think, of a VISTA worker in any community, to tie different resources together. There are a bunch of things going on in every community, basically providing pieces of services for people's lives. So that one of the roles of a VISTA person can be to collect all those different ideas out of all those service agencies and act as a resource, as a referral, as a I hesitate to use the word catalyst. I think as a facilitating person, as a person who can tie those agencies together in a way that makes them function better in a community.
But the real test isn't the role-playing exercise conducted in comfortable surroundings. It's in applying the lessons learned in sessions like these to the harsh realities of life in the other America. Kensington, Georgia. A meeting of the Kensington Civic Association. neighbors joining together to improve conditions in their impoverished rural community.
Hey, Christopher and I, we opened the house for business with the reading of the last minute.
Mr. Chairman, we have the reading of the minute from February the 7th, 1975. Meeting opened with a song and prayer led by...
In the past year, things have improved. There's a preschool program now, and soon construction will be starting on a badly needed community center.
The House opened for new business. The committee for the fish fry were Mr. Chester Hinton, Mr. and Ms. Dora McCoy, Vera Hinton, Mr. and Mrs. Clifford Shelton, and Betty Foster. Discussed of getting all men to help move the stove in the center and do work to improve conditions of the center. The meeting adjourned until Friday, February 14, 1975.
You heard the reading of the last minute. Is there any necessary correction? If not, let it be heard by the word aye. Aye. Any opposed? If not, ayes have it, so carried. And next will be new business. We received a check from Save the Children.
As in all VISTA-assisted projects, the key phrase here is self-determination. What do the people want? And how can volunteers help them achieve their aims?
Would you make your report?
Okay, Mr. Chairman. You and I were supposed to visit on Tuesday, the insurance, or the lawyers, and you have a figure of $525. Now that's for a guaranteed building and a guaranteed title. And then you instructed me to telephone Christian Woods, which I did, and they said the price would be $37 for a land title and $475 for a building title.
I've never did anything like this. I never devoted a year of my life to doing community development before. And while I put in a lot of time, it was so rewarding, just from the people I've met, the people I've talked to and worked with. It was a fantastic year. And I hope the community did get something, like for what I gave and give.
What did you do before?
I went to college before.
What did you study?
Elementary education and business administration.
What about you?
Oh, I'm a 30-year retired teacher.
And how would you evaluate the past year?
Very good. Very good. It's, of my retirement year so far, I would say this was the best. Because of meeting the people, the culture is a bit different. The country certainly is different with the mountains and the area. And then to think they all work together so well and are sticking to their idea of what they want and letting us help them with their project. And now, since it looks like they're really going to get what they want, it gives you a very good feeling. Now, I know that sounds like I feel I'm giving a lot. I am not. I'm getting so much more out of than what I give.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Clora. Happy birthday.
But the bottom line of all these strategies and procedures is very basic. Are there real benefits for the ultimate consumers of these services? The people in the community who are struggling to improve the quality of their lives? One of the dedicated workers in this program, Mrs. Peggy Davis, thinks there are.
Well, if you could have seen some of the kids when they first came here, they wouldn't talk. They'd just shake their head. They wouldn't do anything. And now at least they're talking, they'll play. And it's just with this look, 3 days a week, it's been a great improvement on the kids. We talked about the community center or tried to get one from time to time, but with the help of the visitors, seemingly we are going to get a building this time.
Well, how long have you folks been talking about your community center?
About 5 years. This community has nothing for the children to do, especially the black kids. Now, it is another community near this one that the white kids have a little to do. But it's a lot of black kids here and white kids don't have anything to do before they start to school. So we talked with Jean and Ann. We decided we'd set up a preschool. Now the Save the Children Federation. We've contacted them, and we are going to get some money from them to help build a building or to build a building.
Helping folks to build for a brighter tomorrow. That's what VISTA is all about.
No, stay out here, Christy. You can go down the slide.
San Miguel, New Mexico. The menu is enchiladas. The occasion, a fundraising dinner for HELP, a VISTA-assisted project that has brought about dramatic changes in the lives of many of the area's Mexican-American farm workers. The money raised tonight will go toward the completion of a multi-service community center now under construction. It will house a cooperative supermarket, a community meeting hall, new offices for HELP, as well as space for the agency's senior citizens programs and preschool project. Not too long ago, the place where this building is going up was just a barren field. Now it stands as a symbol to the farm workers in the area of what can be accomplished through total sponsor commitment, community effort, and a little help from VISTA. The construction supervisor on the project is VISTA volunteer Joe Ball.
When I first came in VISTA, I was doing small business minority accounting and tax programs and loan packaging.
Well, now, here you've been an accountant. You don't really know anything about construction yet. I see you, running this crew here. How does that all work?
Well, I've had to learn as I went along also. And we set up a program with the university, the vocational program, and they supplied an instructor. HELP, the Home Education Livelihood Program, would recruit half of the students, and this would be part of their economic upgrading program. And these people will learn a trade, they'll get a skill, they'll get a degree in building trades, and we hope when they re-enter the labor force, they re-enter at a higher level. And also, I set up the accounting system, and I helped train their secretary to be a bookkeeper for Tierra del Sol, the housing project. So we're involved. We're all involved in everything. Occasionally, people from the homeless will come over here and give us assistance. Even if we run out of materials, they're always good to go see.
Tierra del Sol was started by VISTAs as a component of HELP. Now it's a non-profit corporation directed by community people. It offers families the opportunity to escape from substandard shack-like dwellings, many without heat, electricity, or running water. To farm workers in New Mexico, Tierra del Sol means self-help housing. Through the agency, families have a chance to build and own modern, well-equipped homes, and at a price they can afford. $14,000 secured by a long-term, low-interest loan. Angelina Provencio, Tierra del Sol's board chairperson, explains how they utilize their volunteers.
Business can go out and do recruiting, of course, and explain the program to them. And look at the one that's working, Joe Ball, that's working in the community center right now. He started out as an accountant, and now he's doing all kinds of construction for us. Perhaps we could have some more VISTA volunteers. That's what we could use. I feel very proud when I see the women doing the work themselves, and I think this is certainly a thing that keeps families together also. These homes not only make you feel good and very proud of the fact that you do have a home, but it also gives them so much security, and they have so much pride. And you can tell just by looking at the yards how the first thing that they plant are trees and not very many fancy plants because they can't afford them, but they put out what they can.
If you've been to San Miguel, you'll see there's a lot of building going on. These houses, of course, are built by the people themselves. And VISTAs are the ones that have recruited the participants in the self-help housing program there.
And is there any kind of a supervision that you give them while they're here in your program?
Yes, we do. We try to keep in contact with them. But really, we don't have to stand over their shoulder and see that they're working because they're doing, like I say, beautifully. They actually don't need too much of that.
What kinds of things do they do for you?
They do outreach work for us. We have low-income tax assistants from VISTAs. We have architects, marketing. We have some teachers, some preschool teachers, which are from VISTA. Then we have a specialist in recruiting.
Florencio Lopez, is a locally recruited VISTA. He and his wife, Manuela, are Tierra del Sol's chief recruiters, knocking on doors, explaining the program, convincing folks to get involved.
Yo soy Florencio López y ella es mi esposa Manuela López. Venimos de parte de Tierra del Sol a proponerle que si gustaría...
For Florencio and many LRPs, VISTA has meant more than volunteer work. A former farm worker, he's been given the opportunity by the sponsor to develop and polish a new set of skills. His VISTA experience has opened the door to a new career. Florencio's VISTA service is almost up now, but he'll be staying with Tierra del Sol as a full-time, salaried member of the organization's staff. Providing locally recruited VISTAs with career development opportunities, either within the agency or on the outside, is one of a VISTA sponsor's major roles. For this man, Tierra del Sol has meant both a new home and, like Florencio, a change in career objectives. While building his own house, he learned a new and highly marketable trade.
I was a gardener then, now I'm a plumber. Yes, because I helped the supervisor do the layout on this house, the plumbing. And that's why I like it. I liked it, and I decided I wanted to work as a plumber. I mean, if you wanted to get a better job, you could, because you learn a lot here, and you can get a job with a construction or something, building houses.
Yeah, and I guess if anything goes wrong with the house, you can fix it yourself.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
We want to make an addition into our carport, make it into a game room, so we can do it by ourselves. We don't have to hire anybody.
¿Qué podemos ayudar en algo? Quería saber si nos pueden ayudar a los niños más grandes. Esta es la forma grande. ¿Cuántos niños tienen? Cuatro.
Income tax time is an anxious period for all of us. For farm workers whose knowledge of English is often limited, filling out the complex form can be an especially painful and costly procedure. To meet this problem, the New Mexico Bureau of Revenue has established free tax assistance programs utilizing action resources as well as other volunteers throughout the state. Help's participation is coordinated by VISTA volunteer Dave Roddy.
Married, filing jointly, right?
Yes. Están los dos. Usted no trabaja, pero las van a poner juntos.
How many children?
VISTAs bring to a sponsoring agency not only their own skills, but the combined resources of all the other action components in the community. The sponsors and the volunteers in the field can call upon organizations like RSVP and University Year for Action for specialized technical assistance and other forms of support.
In this community, the RSVP's Retired Senior Volunteer Program is very active in the tax program. In fact, I think they started it. And they have several centers in town and a few outlying centers like this, and they service, I think, thousands of senior volunteers. They go to the places where they have the hot lunch programs, things like that, and it's really convenient for the elderly people, and these are elderly people helping other older people. I think it is a service that is being performed and does help a lot of people. And I think it makes people feel good about it, and they're just so happy to see that someone's not ripping them off, that there's actually something being done for them on a voluntary basis.
We've seen just a few of the many roles that VISTA can play in helping organizations increase the impact of their programs. Functions that are limited only by the scope of the sponsor's imagination and creativity. For VISTA is a dynamic program in tune with the rapidly changing realities of our increasingly complex society, working to satisfy today's demands, preparing to confront the new challenges that tomorrow is sure to bring.